And then my boy went out there and he was 8 for 11 with 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. In which in one of them drives, that man ran 5 plays for 60 yards in under 2 minutes. And he did all of this without throwing an interception. I said he did all of this without, come on man, stop playing.
So Shedeur Sanders jersey sales is what, $250 million? I'm not surprised. And I'm not even talking about his personal website where he sells clothing from. Now, from that $250 million, it probably make anywhere between $5 to $14 million. That's more than his NFL contract is over 4 years.
Shedeur Sanders just secured a jaw-dropping $250 million extension after casually dismantling the Panthers like they were a preseason warm-up. Now, the haters are out here hyperventilating, clutching their pearls, and Googling how to explain this to my therapist. From throwing lasers to making defenders look like traffic cones, Shedeur didn't just win. He printed money while doing it. Buckle up, because this isn't just a contract, it's a public service announcement for anyone still doubting him.
Because of Shedeur Sanders' brand, he has implemented an entirely new clause for NFL contracts called the prime equity. And in this clause, he gets a percentage of everything that the Browns make off of his image and his likeness. This includes a certain amount when it comes to jerseys, merchandise. He also owns all of his content. So whether that's digital, whether that is, streaming media, whatever it is, docu-series, social media, he owns it. This is legendary. And the fact that it's called the prime equity clause.
Shedeur Sanders just turned the football world upside down and shook it until every loose coin, grudge, and ounce of envy fell out. A $250 million extension is the kind of payday that doesn't just make headlines. It makes accountants sweat, rivals cry, and the internet lose its collective mind. And he didn't get it by accident. No, Shedeur turned the Carolina Panthers into his personal highlight reel. And now the only thing more bruised than their defense is the ego of every critic who swore he'd never make it this far.
Nothing but keeping quiet, working, minding his business, driving the speed limit hopefully, and doing everything he needs to do to prepare for this upcoming season. And the people have decided that he deserves to be on top. If public opinion is everything, this just told you everything that you need to know. Because the NFL can punish you for public opinion, but they won't reward you for it.
This wasn't a win. This was a performance so casually dominant, it felt like he was playing Madden with all the sliders turned up. Only this was real life, with real people trying their hardest not to get embarrassed. Spoiler alert, they failed. He made defenders miss like they owed him money, receivers look like all pros, and the Panthers coaching staff questioned whether they'd accidentally wandered into the wrong stadium. By the time the final whistle blew, Shedeur wasn't just the best player on the field. He looked like the only one who'd read the playbook.
In his preseason debut, and listen, I'm going to give you your flowers, Emery. This does not happen often, but you have been on the Shedeur hype train, or at least you've been shutting down the Shedeur Sanders disrespect. But now you got to see firsthand his performance in the Browns preseason opener. He humbly said on the sidelines that he didn't think he was sharp at all. But now I want to get Emery's thoughts.
What you expect shouldn't surprise you. So I'm not surprised by this, Kiana, and I appreciate you giving me my flowers because at the end of the day, we saw this before against Florida A&M when he first debuted at Jackson State.
Now, a $250 million extension doesn't just say we believe in you. It screams we will move heaven, earth, and half our cap space to make sure you stay here forever. The kind of deal that locks you in as the face of the franchise, the leader of the locker room, and the single most terrifying name on any defensive coordinator's whiteboard. While some players get extensions for their potential, Shedeur just got one for turning Sundays into weekly sports documentaries.
Tell the truth. Does this surprise you guys that Shedeur Sanders, pick number 144, is now the best-selling jersey of the draft class?
No, and this is why he's going to be a Cleveland Brown. I think he's going to be on the roster no matter what. Because at the end of the day, I do think he has a safe floor at quarterback, but those type of things, moving the needle, moving dollars around and being relevant as a franchise, that's what you want as an owner.
Well, Jimmy loves this. Yeah.
The Panthers game will be replayed for years, not because it was close, but because of how quickly it was over in spirit. The second Shedeur stepped on the field, you could feel it. That weird, quiet energy when one side knows they're about to get cooked and there's nothing they can do about it. And sure enough, drive after drive, he shredded their defense like a shredder on tax day. Long passes, quick reads, pocket presence like he was sipping coffee back there. The man was calm, precise, and apparently allergic to mistakes.
Oh, my boy Shedeur Sanders went out there and did exactly what we thought he was going to do. Exactly what he should have done. And that was none other than to be a bona fide baller, dog. I mean, bro, this was a very impressive day for my boy Shedeur Sanders, coming out there in the very first preseason, under them lights, in the NFL. I mean, what more do y'all want me?
Of course, the haters have been working overtime, practically clocking in for double shifts just to try and poke holes in Shedeur's rise. These are the same people who swore up and down that he was nothing but hype, a marketing product dressed up in flashy highlights, a beneficiary of good PR, and just another player riding the Sanders name like a tourist on a sightseeing bus. They had their talking points ready for months, convinced that sooner or later, the stage lights would burn too hot and the so-called facade would crack. But here's the thing about being wrong over and over again. Eventually, the noise dies down, not because they've run out of insults, but because deep down, they know they've been caught in a cycle of denial. The look on their faces says it all. A mix of disbelief, envy, and that hollow realization that the guy they dismissed has just turned their favorite arguments into confetti. What really rubs salt in the wound for them is how effortless he made it all look. There was no desperation in his throws, no frantic backpedaling under pressure, no shaky decision-making. Every move was measured, every pass deliberate. In the pocket, he looked like a man checking his email, calm and unbothered, while chaos swirled around him. If football were chess, Shedeur didn't just secure a win. He checkmated them in under 10 moves, then casually reset the board like it was just a friendly match.
Shedeur Sanders let y'all know tonight that it was only a matter of time. Through 3 quarters of plays, Shedeur was 14 for 23, 138 passing yards, and 2 TDs. Not to mention, he was 13 for 19 for 103 passing yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half. Now, the next question is the question that we all been wondering. Does Shedeur deserve to be QB4 on the depth chart? The short answer is no. After what we was able to see tonight, every single doubt that people had against him, whether it was his arrogance, whether it's his leadership, his accuracy, his pocket presence, his ability to process his progressions, he checked off every single.
The pass rush? He turned it into little more than a light jog, brushing it off as though defenders were just jogging alongside him to get some cardio in. The coverage schemes? They might as well have been downloaded from a bargain bin playbook app, full of bugs and glitches. Every defensive adjustment they tried only made them look more outmatched, more unprepared, more like they were reading from the wrong play sheet. By the end of it, Shedeur didn't just beat them. He dismantled them with such precision that the scoreboard felt secondary. This kind of commitment is reserved for the rare quarterback who has already become a living nightmare for defensive coordinator. By the time Monday morning film sessions roll around, Shedeur Sanders is the guy every coach wishes they could avoid. They are forced to pause, rewind, and dissect frame after frame of him threading passes into windows that barely existed a heartbeat before. He is not just throwing the ball, he is bending the geometry of the field to his will. Defenses collapse in frustration as he adds just enough mobility to keep linebackers second-guessing their every step, planting seeds of hesitation that turn into gaping holes in coverage.
Tonight, Shedeur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools. In some cases, racist fools. In many cases, Dion despising fools. Tonight at Carolina, Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round. I'm convinced.
What makes him even more dangerous is the speed of his decision-making. It is as if he is seeing plays a fraction of a second into the future, processing the chaos around him and choosing the perfect response before defenders have even finished reacting. That ability changes the entire dynamic of a game. A quarterback like that is not just hard to stop. He forces opponents to rip up their entire defensive game plan and start over. And that trust was rewarded over and over again. Passes hit in stride so cleanly, it looked like the defense was frozen in time, with Shedeur casually delivering strikes as if the game were moving in slow motion for him alone. The results spoke for themselves. The ball was moving, the chains kept advancing, and the scoreboard lit up like a pinball machine. For the defense, it was death by 1,000 completions. Small, precise, and relentless. By the end, it was clear this was not a lucky day or a hot streak. This was the work of a quarterback in complete control of his craft. And that is the kind of player you lock down for the long haul.
Now, ain't this crazy, huh? Ain't this about a you already know? Look at this. They already try to play Shedeur, a projected second pick, not a second round, projected second pick, number 2 overall. And look at this. Who got the top jersey sales of all rookies? And guess what his commission is? Allegedly, his commission is about $14 million. Now, this is 2 times his contract as being a fifth.
The extension is not just a piece of business. It is a declaration. It is a flashing billboard across the entire league saying, if you want Shedeur Sanders, you can forget about it. He is locked in, anchored, and not about to be pried away by any team with a big checkbook or desperate quarterback situation. It is the kind of move that sends shockwaves beyond just his fan base or the Panthers organization. This is a warning shot to every defensive coordinator in the league. What makes it even better is the way the mood shifts faster than a kickoff return when someone signs a deal this huge. Before the ink has even dried on the paperwork, the critics are everywhere. They call it reckless, overhyped, too early, too much money for someone still writing his story. They talk about cap space like they are the ones running the franchise, and they pretend to know exactly how it will all go wrong. But then the season starts, and it only takes one play to flip the entire conversation on its head.
In his first preseason game, 11 of 19, 103 yards passing, 2 TDs. You know Coach Prime was fired up. Time, yes, Lord. Yes, Shedeur Sanders. Oh, yeah, what now, Coach Prime? God is good. Shout out to Cocoa Butter Brothers for sending us this video. LeBron James even weighed in. That young king looking good out there. Shedeur Sanders, keep going up, head down, and grind, and head high to the most high. Jordan Schultz, text from a high-ranking AFC North executive on the Browns rookie. Shedeur Sanders, it's early, but wow, actually shocked how good he looks.
Picture this. Shedeur drops back, scans the field, and launches a 70-yard strike right into the arms of a receiver in stride for a touchdown. Suddenly, all those cautious voices vanish like they were never there. The same people who were shaking their heads a week ago are now digging up old tweets and videos, trying to prove they believed in him all along. They are posting clips from his college days, his rookie season, even practice highlights, claiming they saw this coming from miles away. It is one of sports' most predictable transformations. Doubters turn into die-hard supporters the second a player proves them wrong. And with Shedeur, the transformation seems to happen faster than ever. That is the power of a player who can change a game in an instant. What Shedeur did against the Panthers was more than a win. It was a public service for anyone who still thinks he's just a college star trying to make it in the big leagues. The man walked into the stadium like it was his living room, rearranged the furniture, kicked his feet up on the coffee table, and then casually signed a contract that might as well have been printed in gold leaf. It wasn't just a game, it was a masterclass in control, precision, and confidence, wrapped in the kind of performance that makes even seasoned pros stop and take notes. He didn't just secure his future, he secured his legacy, and he did it with the kind of ease that makes opponents question if they were even prepared to play that day.
I'm thankful for the opportunity first. I'm thankful for being able to look in all those and every player that was out there participating eyes and like tell them like this new, this a family. You got to be able to go to war with each and every guy and understand like we're not playing for ourselves here, we playing for each other. When you out there on the field, it just is different. Like, you understand, ball's ball, but ball never been a problem for me. It's, whatever optics or whatever everybody makes up after, outside the game. But in the game, y'all kind of know who I am.
And you can see why the haters are fuming. This isn't just about the money, although $250 million is enough to make anybody jealous. It's the fact that he's proving them wrong in real time. Every touchdown is a personal rebuttal to the doubters. Every crisp pass is another bullet point on the growing list of reasons he belongs at the very top of the sport. The people who swore he'd fold under NFL pressure are now watching him dismantle defenses like it's a training drill, and the reality is sinking in. They're going to have to deal with him for years. The real comedy here is that this isn't even peak Shedeur yet. If this is what he's doing now, fresh in his NFL career, still learning the nuances of pro-level schemes, imagine him with more experience, more chemistry with his receivers, and an even deeper playbook at his disposal. Defenses are already scrambling for answers and finding none. That $250 million contract might end up looking like a bargain in a few seasons, the kind of deal that GMs brag about for decades. Right now, he's making history in real time, and the rest of the league better. Get used to seeing him carve up secondaries while wearing that same calm, unshakable expression. The message is loud and clear. He's not here to survive, he's here to dominate.
Sanders, first time we ever saw him play college football, went out there, balled, led an upset victory against FAMU. First time he debuted as an FBS quarterback against a highly ranked TCU squad, he went out there, put up 500 yards and 4 touchdowns in an upset victory over TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. So why wouldn't I expect him to come out here in his debut, show up and show out? Because what we saw from him in this ball game was all the things we saw from him throughout his career. Touch, timing, anticipation, elite level accuracy, toughness within the pocket, willing to stare down a gun barrel and fire a shot downfield, showing that he can escape outside the pocket, better athlete than given credit for, and showing that he can make plays when he threw the nice little floater down to Luke Flourier down the sideline for a touchdown.
The Panthers are still trying to figure out what just hit them. They went in with a carefully crafted game plan, armed with defensive schemes and pressure packages, and came out with a collective headache and a therapy bill. This was supposed to be their moment to rattle him, to keep him contained in the pocket, to force him into rushed throws and bad decisions. Their coverages, meant to blanket his receivers, somehow morphed into wide open spaces where his targets could practically set up lawn chairs. Every time they thought they had him cornered, every time they believed the pressure was about to break him, he found a new escape route. 1 second, a defensive end was within arm's reach. The next, Shedeur was sliding away, resetting his feet and delivering a strike downfield. Trying to pin him in was like trying to trap smoke. No matter how tightly they tried to contain him, he slipped through every gap, every angle, every plan.
Why are you so excited about what Shedeur Sanders did tonight against the backup Carolina Panthers defense? Because y'all would literally be the same people bashing him in the comment section, tweeting on Twitter about having a bad performance. Now that he did have a good performance tonight, I'm gonna need y'all to give him his credit and his flowers. Look at Deshaun Watson. He already on the sidelines knowing that his job is in jeopardy. Joe Flacco is not the future of the Cleveland Browns. He literally got a couple more years and he's retiring from the NFL. Now, I don't know why the Browns signed Tyler Huntley like he about to outperform Shedeur Sanders, because he's not. And for a fat Dylan Gabriel, he ain't better than Shedeur Sanders either. Dylan Gabriel is literally lucky to make the roster. Who even got LeBron James on Twitter?
But performances like this do not materialize out of thin air. They are forged in the grind. Hours upon hours of film study have honed his ability to recognize patterns before the defense even moves. Countless practice reps have ingrained precision into every throw, every read, every footstep in the pocket. There is also a natural instinct at work here, something you cannot coach, cannot teach, and cannot buy. You could see it in the way he manipulated the defense with subtle head movements and eye shifts, moving safeties and linebackers just enough to open up throwing lanes. The more they came after him, the more focused he became. Like the chaos of the rush only tuned him in further. It was the kind of composure that turns promising quarterbacks into franchise leaders, and the kind of performance that leaves a defense questioning everything they thought they knew.
Cleveland Browns, we told you start Shedeur Sanders today, it was going to be a problem. Shedeur Sanders got 103 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception, QBR rated 113.9, future starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Y'all ready for that convo?
In the end, the Panthers game will be remembered as the day the extension went from a headline to a prophecy fulfilled. Shedeur Sanders didn't just earn $250 million. He validated every penny before the contract even cooled from the printer. And now, every team in the league has a new problem to solve. One with a cannon for an arm, ice in his veins, and a paycheck big enough to make Wall Street jealous. The haters can keep fuming, but at this point, all they're doing is providing free motivation. The rest of us will be here watching the show, waiting for the next time Shedeur walks into a stadium and turns it into his personal stage. Because if this game proved anything, it's that this isn't the peak, it's the starting point.